Good Monday afternoon, everybody. My name is Crystal Holloman, a digital reporter here at News 10. And as you can see there on the right is MSU basketball coach Tom Izzo. He is speaking to the media on the start of conference play as a Spartans host number 26, just outside of the top 25, Wisconsin, at the Breslin Center tomorrow. So let's listen in on Coach.
Have done this where the conference games start in December. It's good in some ways. It's tough on coaches from the standpoint of it really, these games mean a lot right now. So we tried to take that approach. As I said before, we need our best players to play well, and I think we're getting a little bit more out of AJ in some ways. I think he's had 4 good days of practice. I think we're trying to get more out of Jaden. I think that'll be a big key for us. And Tyson's back 99%, so that's encouraging. Little problem with the hip, but not bad. And Malik has been solid and steady. I think he could ratchet up a notch, but I don't know if it'll be Tuesday. As far as Wisconsin goes, I couldn't believe they weren't ranked in the beginning of the year. To me, they had everybody back, very well coached, good system. They have good players like Hepburn, who have started since his freshman year. Wall has, was injured a little bit last year. He's back to being a damn good college player who is tough, gets the job done. Kroll has improved as a center now in his 4th year or 5th year. He's gained a little more weight. I think he's stronger than he was. And then they have one transfer from St. John's who has helped him, a very athletic kid who's really helped him. Essingen has been hurt a little bit, I guess with a back injury, and he's just coming off that. But the Kleinschmidt kid, who they got before, has really played well in his absence. So Storr's the guy that is the one transfer they got this year, and he's averaging 13 a game, and at 6'6", athletic, he brings a lot to the table for a Wisconsin team. So we got our work cut out for us. It's a very good opener. It's I still think one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league, both with experience, coaching, and players that have proven themselves before and are playing pretty well. And they're just coming off of a big convincing win over a very good Marquette team who was 3rd in the country. And I think that tells you a little bit about Wisconsin. So questions, I'll take them.
Tom, obviously they've got some size, and Tyler Wall's a crafty guy, has been around 47 years at this point, and especially if Malik's not 100% and you played Cohen at the 4, but that's kind of a size deal, and he's a freshman. I'm wondering how you handle their size in that matchup.
I think you'll see some both of our bigs playing together a little bit. I think we'll be doing some of that, and that'll be maybe one area where we'll try to do that. I'll know more at practice. I mean, I think as of this morning, you'll be able to play some. To what level? I mean, if it's anything like Tyson's, we're in trouble. If it's not, and Malik, can use his experience, that would be a big plus for us. But that's something that, we dealt with Friday, Saturday. We thought by Sunday, it was the 24, 48-hour flu bug, and it is the flu, but his temperature and that was high. And so then when Sunday didn't happen, then we, start re-looking at it, and that's what we're doing today. But he was in earlier today, met with the trainer, and just have no idea until we practice on what he can do and how much he can do. And one day could make a difference. The problem is it's not been 24, 48. It's been 4 days. And so I don't know what that'll mean game time, nor do I really care from the standpoint I can't control it, So I don't know, they'll have to deal with us too if we go smaller. So there'll be a couple things we're going to do, hopefully to even that out.
Tom, talking about the Big Ten, Purdue goes to Maui, obviously does great, comes back, very first Big Ten game, loses on the road. Is that just kind of a reminder for you and for your guys what this league is like?
Well, as I told you guys at the beginning of the year, with all the different things that are going on, I think in the last 2 days, Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, I think there were 9 or 10 ranked teams that got beat by unranked, and some of them, Kentucky, and by teams that were 3 and 5 or whatever they were. I think this is what's going on. I mean, is it parity? I don't really think so. I think it's some ups and downs. And in that game, I watched that Purdue game. Now, that's an exception to the rule because I thought both teams played at a pretty high level. And you got to give Northwestern a lot of credit before you blame Purdue for any letdown. I thought Northwestern played really well. And Purdue had a couple guys that didn't play quite as well, but it was a high-level game. And last night I caught a little bit of the Ohio State-Minnesota game, and I think this is the way it's going to be. I don't know in any conference. I mean, Duke loses 2 in a row. Arkansas is good, but their best player scored 30 a game a couple nights earlier, didn't play. So it's just strange what's going on, but it's nothing that I didn't talk to you guys about because I thought, with all the things going on and people coming and going, it's going to be a little bit like this.
Hey, Tom, staying with those magic words, Big Ten, you mentioned parity. How much does home court advantage play a role, whether it's the Izzone or some of these arenas you got to go to?
Yeah, I'm hoping a lot. I'm hoping a lot while we're home. But I think the one thing that I'm hoping will help us as we go, but it'll definitely help of all teams, maybe Purdue and Wisconsin. I mean, like I said, Purdue and us got credit for having people back. Wisconsin got none, and they got, I think, 7 out of 8 back. And so I think a team like Wisconsin that runs just a tight system and a point guard, Hepburn, who doesn't have to beat you with his scoring. He can shoot it, but he can do a lot of other things. They're very solid defensively. Teams against them, there's some unbelievable stat, like I've had like 50 assists and 114 turnovers or something. They don't give up a lot of free stuff, as we know. And so I've been, I think home court should help a lot of people, but a Wisconsin team would not be one that I think would get affected by being on the road because of the way they play. There's not a lot of runs against them because it's hard to get breakout things against them. I mean, we were laughing today, it's been 30 years and they've had 3 different coaches or 4 different coaches, but every one of them have kind of been in the same mold, whether it be Bennett, whether it would be Bo, or now whether it's guard. Greg, they're all kind of in the same mold, and so their system has kind of stayed the same too, and I think that benefits them. You're welcome.
Wondering about what a team like Wisconsin coming off a top 5 win like that, the emotion and I guess confidence that comes from that going on the road. I mean, how do you, if you're that team, how do you translate that, and how do you kind of defend that as a coach?
Well, as everybody says, you get a team like that, you get a big win, and we just asked kind of 2 exact opposite questions that are the same, meaning Purdue comes off this big win, wins Maui and feeling good, and then they lose a game and everybody probably assumes that there was a letdown or this and that. So, we want it to be momentum building and then it gets better. I'm sure Coach Gard wants it to be momentum building now, big win, better, and somebody else will say, well, maybe they'll come in different now that they won a game. So I think anytime you win and play well, it should benefit you, especially when you got veteran guys that shouldn't be thinking that we've just won a championship or something, and Wisconsin's been there, done that. So I think this is a big plus for them. They come off a big win against a team that played well over in Maui too, and that's why the game's all about matchups. You know, Marquette was athletic and does some things, but they were smaller and they got hurt. I think Wisconsin was plus 15 or 16 on the boards, and that was a big part of it. Plus, got to the line a lot and shot well from the line. So those two things benefited. So that's why, at the end of the day, matchups are still going to be important, you know, and we'll see, you know, what it benefits. Sometimes the speed teams that's smaller hurts the bigger teams, and sometimes the bigger teams that's bigger hurts the smaller teams. And the rhyme and the reason is Marquette didn't shoot it very well. Was that because of Wisconsin, or was it because Marquette had a bad shooting day, you know? Seems like I'm talking like a politician, which I definitely don't want to do, but that's the best answer I can give you.
Tom, we've talked a couple times about measuring stick games, like going back to Tennessee. Is this a little bit of a different kind of measuring stick when just they know you guys very well, you know them really well? You're kind of curious to see how that plays
I think
out?
it is an important game, so I'm not downplaying that. That's for sure. I think it's a very important game for, number one, the standings, number two, to hopefully take care of home court, but number three is we know this is a very solid, good team. I mean, this has to be a ranked team. You know, it's just not, or wasn't for some reason. Maybe it will be today now after their big win, and deservingly so. And yet it really doesn't matter, because I think those rankings, I mean, half of them came out before anybody knew who was on anybody else's team. So it's been a little, that's created a little problem, a little distortion on that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good measuring stick for us. Where are we? You know, how are we playing against somebody that does not make a lot of mistakes, does not turn the ball over much, very, very solid and experienced. Yeah, it's a good point. Didn't even think about that, but you're right. I mean, some of these teams we played, we had to go back to 2 teams ago to get how they played in those, how that individual played for whoever. And this team, for the most part, it's not only 8 games in now, which helps us, but it's a team that 90% intact. So, yeah, that'll make it even more important. So I agree with you.
Tom, real quick, is Jackson still progressing? He's still on track?
He is. In fact, we've had nothing but positive things from Jackson, meaning if you watched him every day, I mean, he's down there shooting, he's doing things. You'd swear he's ready to go right now. He's had no setbacks, knock on wood, but or stone, but he's really done a hell of a job. The doctors have been positive. He had his first real X-ray, and everything looked like it was good. What does that mean for a date? You know, they've talked about, you know, maybe before Christmas, but that I think would be on the best scenario. The worst scenario would be right after Christmas. And so that's encouraging, because I think he does bring another element to our team, which is that scoring inside and outside. And his body is changing his whole, I think, game. I think he's going to be able to guard different people a lot better than last year. So Jackson don't want to make him out to be a savior, but I think he's going to help us a lot. Guys have been easy on me.
I know one of the things you've been concerned about over the course of the early part of the season is giving up the offensive boards, and this is a team that does rebound the ball really well, I guess. What do you need to see from Coop and
we've
Monty?
been working on it. I mean, part of it is we're small, but, Jaden's been a little up and down. He's been non-rebounding, then he's rebounded very well. I think he's still going to we're going to have to gang rebound a little bit more. Cohen's got to do a little bit more on the rebounding no matter where he's playing, because he's capable of doing that. And, I think Monty and Coop have been pretty good. We just got to get more gang rebounds. We're trying to get AJ in there to get more rebounds with his size, especially on the defensive end. But part of that is, I think, our defensive stats have been good, but I think we've given up more dribble penetration than we normally have, and then people get out of sorts, and those rebounds are cleaner. Another thing that somebody brought up to me that just shows you how crazy stats are, but we've missed. Last year we shot 78% from the line. This year we're at 66 or 5. We're shooting more free throws, but we're missing free throws, and those make for cleaner rebounds. So, all of a sudden you get 2, 3 more of those a game, and instead of being +3, I think we're now at you're +6 or 7, and you're saying you're human, So some of it is distorted a little bit, but some of it is we're just not as big a team, especially, Malik, I think's got to do a little bit more in that area. I showed him some tape on the Tennessee game, a bigger, stronger team when he had 14 boards. We got to get a little more out of him, and then I think a lot more out of our guards.
Tom, you say you don't like talking like a politician. You can say no comment to this, but college football playoff, your favorite sport. Anything you want to weigh in on?
Anything I want to weigh in on? Yeah, I might as well
Say
get.
no comment.
No, me, I'll always comment because I don't know if 12's the right number. That seems a little high for me. That'd be like changing ours from 68 to 120. But I think you can see why it's got to be more than 4. I feel for Florida State. I actually talked to Keon a couple weeks ago. I feel for them because I think a coach did everything he can do. But if the true meaning is to get the 4 best teams, I kind of understand it, And so what do you do in that case? What is this going to bring? Thank God it's getting bigger. What would it bring? Would anybody want to play better non-conference games earlier if 1 loss or even 0 losses means you're not going to get in? That bothers me. A conference champ in a BCS league doesn't get in. But do I think they've got the 4 best teams? I mean, you could even argue, where Georgia is on that. I suppose some would argue where Oregon is on that, but I don't know. I don't know how good the Big 12 was that Texas was in, but I think they did the best job of getting the best 4 teams. I think there's no question that Florida State would have been in that. Their defense is unbelievable. But it's not only your starting quarterback, but, you don't even know if your backup quarterback would be able to play in it. I think that's difficult. And even though I feel for him, I understand it. The year we won the national championship, Kenyon Martin, breaks his leg, and all of a sudden we become the 1 seed instead of the 2 seed. So now we're playing in Cleveland and Detroit instead of. This stuff happens, and it's. Who in the hell said life was fair? It's not. But do I feel for Florida State with a year they had and being an undefeated team? I do. Do I think? It's hard for me to say, I just don't know the whole quarterback. I didn't follow it that closely. I followed them a little closer just to see how Keon was doing, but I don't follow them as close as I do Big Ten or SEC teams. You're welcome.
Very non-political, too.
Very non-political, very honest, though.
You mentioned Kroll, the big man for Wisconsin. You mentioned he's gotten stronger. Has he also gotten quicker with the drop step to the right shoulder? And
looks like a lot quicker. Baseline stuff, he gets there quick. He's more physical, so he's posting harder. He still can shoot a 3, but ironically, he's not shooting as many. Which I think is all part of the good things with their program, and they got a freshman, by the way, too, from right around the corner in Detroit, Blackwell, who's played very well for him too. So I'm sure there'll be some incentive for him there. So between Kroll, what Wisconsin does as good a job as anybody in the country is they recruit to their system. and their role players play their roles to the nth degree, and that is a great credit to their coach, I think, because it's harder to get people to do. Everybody wants to do what'll help them get to the league, or help them do this, or help them do that, and they do a damn good job of recruiting guys that'll play to the system they have, and then hold them accountable to that. So it's a hard team to play, an enjoyable team to pull for. Not tomorrow.
You just mentioned about role players playing their role. It seems like watching Trey right now for you guys, like when you need him to run the offense, he does that. When you need him to score, he's been able to do that. I guess, what have you seen in him over the last couple weeks that a lot? I mean, is he kind of like that guy for you, the role guy?
Yeah, you know, and I'm glad you brought him up, because this summer, after the summer, I told you that I thought he had a great summer, improved his shooting, got a little stronger. He's still got to get him eating better, I think, and gaining a little more weight. But Trey Holloman has been maybe as valuable as anybody to us if you really look at it. I mean, he's shooting it better. His assist-to-turnover ratio is off the charts. But as important, he's one of our best defenders. So you're going to see him. We're going to move him around a little bit more, you know, not real big, but he did, you know, was offered football scholarships. So he is, he's not afraid of anything. He just got to get that body 20 pounds heavier, which we'll continually work on. But that's a good point. I think he's become a very valuable role player for us that hopefully will grow into even more as the year goes on. But he's been not a pleasant surprise, because this summer I saw some of it coming, but I'd be lying to you if I told you I thought he was going to shoot it as well as he has, and he's done that in practice. He's practiced well, so he's been a big plus. All right, gang. So off the air, how many of you predicted the 4 that got in? You didn't? Who? You thought they'd take Florida State? You got it right. Most of you they thought they'd take Florida State. In front of who? Alabama or Texas? Alabama. I don't know. You know, it's glad I'm not on the committee.
All right, that was head coach Tom Izzo giving his take on what I'll be talking to Tim Stout about, including the college football selection show yesterday that has a lot of people talking. So we're going to take a quick break, and I will be back here in about half an hour with a live conference from the Department of the Attorney General in Clinton County.